Laundry door.
What's good, world? It's your boy Dre at Samurai Kennels. I'm here with my famo, Pimps Over Simps. If you look at the title of this live, this is not a dog talk. This is real talk. And will I address dogs in it if I need to, for metaphorically speaking? But I just been seeing a lot and ain't been saying much. And I need to restructure it and relayer that Bushido code in to basically do the things that I feel, and I say feel, but the things that I know need to happen in my world for my peace of mind. I'm nation building, and above all, we're building better people. But before I do any of that, y'all already know I got to pay the sponsors with the intro.
Please forgive. Too many mind.
Too many mind?
Mind the school. Mind the people.
Let him go, Andre.
Mind the enemy. Too many mind.
We got suspects in the building, got the usual suspects in the building. Shout out to Supreme Excellence One. He said, real deal spill. Talk. Salute.
Nope.
Dickie Foster, another one of the usual suspects. Dickie said, Samurai, Supreme Excellence. Power to you. Hardy Bulldogs, Pennsylvania says, yo, fellas. Shouts out to you guys, man. Big shouts out to you guys. And y'all know, typically my first 5 minutes, I cover the business, because I'm a businessman, and that's part of what we're going to talk about in this episode, the business. The Digital Dog Show voting ends on Tuesday, the 10th. I'm going to be on the road going to San Antonio on that day. So I fly in that day. So Wednesday night's live immediately following may be affected by the fact that I'm be staying in a motel room on some McDonald's Wi-Fi. I need y'all tracking that. For all of y'all who entered, all of y'all Digital Dog Show competitors, all of y'all supporters, big salutes to you. Also, I'm going to be putting the link to this live in the chat because this is going to be a back and forth discussion. So I want to make sure, like, this is a dog talk, but this is a real spiel. I want to hear real stories. I want to know my people because we nation building. Cannon G. Kennel, salute. Dickie Foster with a two-piece. Tip. Hey, let's get it. Solo but connected. Loyal member. Shouts out to Solo. Solo, you know we got the members only chat tomorrow. Dickie, I would love to see you become a member. If you decide not to, I understand, man. This is no pressure on nobody. This is all love. Outlaw Texas Kennel. My brother David Valdez. Welcome. I need to do a follow-up with you, David. I need that exclusive interview for y'all who don't know. I didn't make it to Nationals, but my brother David did. So that's real spill from the ADBA Nationals. I never been to a Nationals. I can't give you information on the Nationals, but that brother was there. All right. I woke up this morning and chose violence. So if anybody wants to know what I'm sipping on is this is Angry Orchard and what's that? Fireball. They call it an anger bomb. That's what I'm sipping on. I just started signing Trump. Dang. So Supreme Excellence got on that Dickie Foster train with that two-piece. Whoop, whoop. Tip. Hey, let's go. Y'all know we out here cooking. Pimps Over Simps, go ahead and Pimp, I never formally introduced you, so I'm gonna give you a formal introduction, and I'm gonna let the crowd have their time with you. Also, R.K.B.B, my big brother Rose, big salute to you, big bro. I appreciate you. Man, I got diarrhea in the mouth as always, but so I tell people this all the time. If it wasn't for that Rhodes interview, I was this close to quitting this YouTube thing. This close. And Rhodes and Big Bro, they saw my channel. I ain't have, 300, 400 followers. They said, I'm gonna interview this brother. You know what I'm saying? And due to them, I'm talking to some of the people like y'all right here on this channel. You know what I'm saying? I never forget who did for me. I may not be able to constantly show gratitude all the time, but I'll never forget who did for me. And we're gonna talk about that in this episode too. Gratitude, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And it's not a samurai only way. That's why I want to spill with y'all and kick it with y'all. But I want to go over that Bushido code today as well and kind of just share what that means in this nation building process. All right. But Pimps Over Simps, y'all. Pimps Over Simps is my big cousin, my blood cousin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mama and his daddy is brother and sister. You know what I'm saying? And so we grew up together. Pimps is 4 years older than me. We've been on a lot of adventures together. You know what I'm saying? He done pulled me out of a lot of stupid situations. He a real one. And we're gonna talk about that loyalty aspect and that's what I'm talking about. So Dickie, you know what? Real talk. Send me your Cash App, Dickie, and I Cash App you the funds to get your first month membership because I need members that are gonna speak and have opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm tapped right now. You know what I mean? But y'all brothers giving y'all last. It's niggas out here with everybody money funny right now because we coming out of the summer. You just paid that back to school money for them kids. The dogs done had a litter this year. They didn't sell like they were selling because you got a bunch of fuck niggas out here selling dogs for cheap prices. You know what I'm saying? And lying to people to get them to buy their dogs as opposed to buying this quality that you don't put 10 years of work into. And no, I'm not bitching. I'm speaking real shit. Okay?
Yeah.
So Supreme Excellence said, how much is for membership? The cheapest membership is $5. I want to say it's $4.99. You know what I mean? And right now, I'm gonna tell you what my goal is. So my goal is to have 8 members because once you have 8 members or more, I'm at 7 right now. Once you have 8 members or more, you can do this thing on YouTube where the members that are members show up at the bottom of the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to do all of that. I got a goal, and I typically don't share my goals with y'all because we'll cover this in the show, but there's a mental accountability when you share your goals with other people. All right, that's called fear. And Samurai gonna tell y'all right now, I have fears. I have things that I fall short of, and that's what this whole channel is about. Other than the dogs, you know what I'm saying? And I do want to share this with y'all too. Other night we was live. My son was taking out the trash. There was a black pit in the front yard loose. The people didn't have him on the collar. The first thing I did when we got off the live was took Saki and went out there and was ready to do God's work on this animal that was on my property, not properly documented, no collar, no registry, nothing. So just a loose animal, you know what I'm saying? And if he'd have bucked, Saki been breaking everything. He done broke out his cage twice this week. Saki done jumped the fence this week. Like he is 8 weeks into a 12-week keep. He is a super athlete right now, you know. But yeah, man. And then so anyways, back to I got carried away. Back to my cousin Pimps Over Simps. So he not going me to tell y'all this, so I'm not gonna tell y'all, but I will say that my brother Pimps Over Simps introduced me to a lot of things in life, and he warned me about some things that I didn't listen to. So for all of y'all who y'all know, like, you know, Schoolboy and the twins in them, you know, they be giving me game, like, you know, right, all the legends come over here and give me game, and I'm hard-headed and motherfucker, you know, sometimes I just gotta learn, you know. But yeah, man, it's all love, man. Student for Life dog training, man. Welcome. And I'm gonna introduce y'all to my cousin, my big cousin, Pimps Over Simps.
What's good? What's good? How y'all doing?
Okay. So Pimps, I'm gonna interview you because your vocal cadence says I kind of caught you off guard, and that's cool, bro. I love you, bro. So Pimps Over Simps, I'm gonna read this and we're gonna spill on this because I think you have the greatest social commentary of anybody in my circle, and I don't think it's getting heard. Also, we're simulcasting this to my alternate YouTube channel, which is for those of y'all who don't know, I had a channel called The Real Andre Williams a long time ago, and I didn't really advertise it. That channel kind of fell through when I couldn't get that name legalized as my kennel name, but it used to be called Andre Williams Kennel. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm about to comment in here right now from that page. But yeah, and that dog on there is my Chinaman Maverick dog for the cover. Pimps Over Simps lived with me when I had that dog. That dog name was Rocket. Now, mind you, my cousin Pimps Over Simps is not really into dogs like that. He likes dogs, but he never really been like a dog man. So I kind of wanted you to just talk about that dog Rocket, Pimps Over Simps, and kind of tell the brothers about Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket. Rocket was. I can honestly say I've been around a lot of pets in my life, you know, childhood, adulthood, but I can honestly say I don't recall ever seeing a dog of his caliber. Um, he was different, man. He was different. Um, didn't need that much training. Um, he wasn't housebroken. He was on a chain when he originally got him. But most of his puppy years, right? He was always on a chain before you
Yeah,
got him.
first 2 years, yeah, chain raised dog.
Yeah, he was on the chain, but his what's what I'm looking for? His transition was like I had never seen nothing like that before. Most dogs that are used to being outside, it's hard for you to housebreak them. You know what I mean? Or it's from my experience. But he just I don't know. He just adapted just very easily, very quickly, and he just was a great pet. Like you to know what he came from. Rocket to me is like the equivalent of somebody that did like a dime and came home and just like hit the ground running, and it's just like everybody's just like wow. It's like he never went to jail. He just came home and bounced right back. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was an amazing dog. And then his build, like he I don't think that he had any. I don't recall him having any, like formal training or what's the correct term for it? Keep.
Yeah, yeah. So hold on. So let me break this down for you. So to keep Jeff, it's a process. You know, like when a fighter announces or they sign a contract for a fight, they agree upon a weight, certain criteria. That's the keep. You know, you're getting down to that weight and meeting the standards for that fight. As far as him, he was never kept. He was just a pet animal that looked conditioned or looked like he was ready for a fight at all times.
Yeah, literally at all times. Like I ain't trying to be funny, but the dog had ass muscles. I've never seen a dog, and I know you used to laugh at that, but that shit, like my man had ass muscles. Like, how do you have ass? I've never seen a dog with muscles in their ass. Like this dog was like shredded, and it's crazy because I do recall. I believe you might remember more vividly than me, but I do remember when he was a pup. Probably like I don't even think he was a month yet. I remember when that litter drop, and then I didn't see him for a while. I think the next time I saw him, it was just him and was it his brother or sister that he was with?
His sister, his sister daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I be inbreeding them heavy, but yeah. But go ahead.
And I think that was the second time I saw him. He was still a pup, but he was damn near fully grown. He was still a pup though. I want to say he was maybe a year at that time, a little over a year. And I just it's just something about him even then, seeing him on the chain, he was different. The whole yard be crunk, but he just, I don't know, just something about, he was a chill, laid back dog. But now I'm gonna tell this story. I know you remember this. When we had that little get together and, people were coming over, and this is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was the first time we actually had, like strangers, people that don't normally come to the house come over.
Yeah, yeah.
And which I feel like he handled it well. But I've always been told it from a child that animals and children are great judges of character. And I can't remember who it was. I don't want to say no names. I don't want to get it wrong. But somebody walked in the front door, and I think we playing Call of Duty or something in the living room, and he started growling, but it was like a very low growl. It wasn't like a intimidating. It was just like he peeped something. He like, wait, what the hell is going on here? And like he started growling, like, what the fuck? And so I think I looked at you first, and then I looked at him, and the hairs. That's the first time I seen a dog hair like stand up like a porcupine. I'm like, what the heck? But see, now I don't know dogs like dogs. You see what I'm saying? So you knew what it was like a movie, bro. When he lunged, you just reached out so smoothly and just grabbed it. I think I was high too at the time, so it probably looked a lot, you know what I'm saying, more dramatic than what it was. But it was if you weren't on point, that could have ended badly. Somebody could have lost their life that night. Just
So
knowing the
let me interject and tell y'all why I was able to do that. So my mentor, he's our cousin, our mutual cousin, Pimps and I. When I was 12, 13, I would go over to his house and he had 30 head of dogs minimum all the time, you know. And for those of y'all who've been in the back chat, you know, all his dogs may not have been game, but they were all killers. He would leave the puppies in their pen as they grew up. And as when they got to the age where they started killing each other, then he would separate them. You know, so all the puppies all the dogs on his yard were killers. So that's where my mentality of scratch, you know, like the whole scratch smashing, you know, Cajun rules and stuff kind of goes away from, because we fought like, you know, you just let them go and let them do their thing. That was how the country style rules work. You know, either they go into somebody curves or somebody kills, you know. And so my cousin, he had a litter that was off of Cruise Rolex to a female dog he had bought. There was a Cruise Rolex daughter. So they was three-quarter Cruise Rolex. Cruise Rolex Monsoon is the actual dog name. And so salute Schoolboy. Schoolboy, you might know about this. You might know about the Cruise Rolex. And Schoolboy, the link was in the chat, but I'll put it back in there if you want to get in here with us as well, Schoolboy. But my cousin's talking about is these Cruise Rolex Rocky dogs, a female had got loose. And my cousin, he was the first person that got me color struck on these yellow dogs, because those Rocky dogs came out chocolate. But in the summertime, they got bleached by the sun, and these dogs that were born, I saw them, they were born chocolate and registered as chocolate dogs. These dogs ended up turning into buckskin colored dogs. You know, so that's when I was like, okay, like when brothers talk about the colors of dogs, you know, a black dog can start off black and end up almost looking chocolate with the right of exposure to the sun. You know, so that color stuff don't really matter. It's a reference, not a hard law. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode is hard laws, man. You can't have hard laws when it comes to people or animals. And this is real spiel. So anyways, what my cousin is talking about is there was a homeboy of mine. He's an airman, fellow airman, you know. So I'm not going to say his name, but he came by. We just came back from the movie seeing Django Unchained. This the time frame for y'all. And so when I first got in the military, my first 4 years, I wanted to be a rapper, you know. So I got in and I got swole up, and you know, I called myself the new, I was like 15 Cent, you know, not 50 Cent, but 15 Cent. And I had blue pits and red nose and Brindle, like just all the time. And I had a house, we had a trap house, you know, from 2010 to 2014, we had a trap house. And the door was, okay, for this trap house, the door was never locked because there was how many living with us, Rose? You, me, my ex-wife, my homeboy, his girl, my sister, her husband.
About 7 or 8 people.
Yeah, 7, 8 heads in a what really was a 2-bedroom house, but we had a den area or a dining room area we converted to a bedroom. You know, it was a 3-bedroom house, but we ended up making 5 bedrooms out of a 3-bedroom house. You know, and I share this struggle with y'all because all this time I'm trying to develop a kennel. I've spent the last 15 years of my life going through a struggle, and I can tell you about the dogs, but you got to get to the point where you can even keep them.
Yeah.
That's what this real spiel is about. Okay, like for instance, so we get my blue dogs, right? This 2011, we get my blue dogs. We living in this house, they digging under the fence. So then me, who never has had electric fencing, has to learn how to use electric fence. That costs money. Of course, I bought the wrong charger. I bought a charger for cows, you know what I'm saying, and had the wrong things to put my wires on, you know. And then I realized goat wire is better because electric fence wire for goats is designed for animals with hollow hair follicles. So if you get an electric fence charger for a cow, it don't do the same thing. So them dogs running right through that electric fence wire. Okay. And I didn't have no OG, like we didn't, YouTube wasn't popping like it is. I didn't have Schoolboy. I didn't have Twins. I didn't have Fat Bill. I didn't have these guys. I ain't have J-Bo. I ain't have Ram. I ain't have Bach in them when I was going through this stuff. Okay. So my dogs getting loose, going down the neighborhood. Across the street, we had my homeboy Steve. Steve had a brindle named Brutus. Now, Rose, you was there. Steve, now mind you, Steve was a real nigga. White boy, real nigga. I don't give a fuck what you say. Steve, and I have to tell these stories because like y'all have to know where I'm coming from. And I'm using the N-word. Like y'all, this video is gonna get demonetized and taken down. Like, but I don't care about the money for this episode. It's not about the money, it's about me really getting to know the people. Yeah. That's why I put the information in the chat. This is also being simulcast to my other channel, which is not monetized because these kind of conversations are going to go on over there. Like this is an anomaly for the Samurai Kendall channel. But I just wanted to talk. And so anyway, so Steve is another person who, because I'm gonna get to the point. Like the point of this first hour is gonna be the community you build. But I just want to tell stories at first. So Steve lived across the street, and this is why I say Steve was a real one. So Steve had a Jeep Wrangler. Steve was 20 years old and had his own place. All right. I don't know how he was paying for it. I don't care. I didn't ask questions. He was my neighbor. But this is why I say Steve was real. Steve would have a different car in his house every day, different female at his house every day. Okay. Now Steve is 20, but Steve always come to my house with a bottle of liquor. Steve was pimping so hard that his different girls would come over, clean up his dog's shit, buy him Jack Daniels, and then he would come over to my house and we would kick it. And the reason why I had to get my dogs a lot, because my dogs was blues at the time. Steve had a game dog. Brutus would have killed my whole yard.
Yeah.
Brutus would have killed my whole yard.
Yeah.
And so Steve would come to my house, get drunk, and invite anybody out with his Jeep Wrangler to hit the swamps in Goldsboro. He had a 40 cal to hit the swamps in Goldsboro and go shoot pigs, spotlighting deer and shooting pigs with his Jeep Wrangler. This is my life. Also, Steve was a real nigga, but Steve was white as fuck. And this is what I mean by so Steve would come over, we would grill out. Like, so the way we fed the neighborhood, because my neighbors to my left, he was an older white dude, smoked weed, and then my neighbors to the right, they were some ratchet ass motherfuckers, but they would come out. My front door didn't lock the whole weekend. And this is in 2011. And if you're from Goldsboro, y'all know where Beach Street is at. Y'all know I'm 2 blocks from Cameron's Clubhouse, which is no longer there anymore. That was a club in Goldsboro. I'm 6 blocks from the Jungle. I'm 2 miles from Central Heights. And I'm 2 miles from West Haven. In the hood. Beach Street, Peach Street, the projects, the church. Okay. But when I'm talking about why I said Steve was a real nigga, but Steve was still white. Okay. I use tongs to flip my steaks. I use a spatula to flip my burger. We out here drinking. The people that's non-military were smoking. We got the dogs in the yard. And Steve comes over to the grill. I'd never seen this before. And for those of y'all who do this, I didn't know I wasn't as manly as Steve. Steve comes over to the grill. He said, "Hey, Dre, I brought a steak." There was a food line walking distance from my house. So when we had get-togethers, if you came over and you didn't bring something, you walked over to the food line or drove over to the food line. Typically, we walked in a group. We would walk in a group to the food line, get food, and bring more food back to the house. And we would have just trays of burgers, fried chicken, fried fish all weekend. You know, and for me, I work night shift. So my night shift worker friends would come over Friday morning after work and we would party. And then my day shift friends from the military would come over, but pimps and them, they were in college and the college students would come over, they bring their dogs over to the house or whatever, you know what I'm saying? If somebody wanted to roll something, they would roll their stuff, you know what I mean? But this is the community. I know what a community looks like. And that's why this episode is so important. That's why this talk is so important, because this happened in my adult life. But back to Steve. So Steve comes over with this steak from Food Line. Steve puts this steak on the grill. it starts to sizzle. It gets char marks. Steve takes his hand that I'm using a spatula on this grill to flip my burgers, my steaks. Takes his hand, reaches on there, grabs that steak, and flipped it over. I said, Steve, everything else that you've done around me has been some black shit. But that right there, but that was my brother. That was my brother.
Yeah, Steve is solid. Steve is solid. You remember when
And
he got
also-
locked out?
Yeah,
He got knocked out.
so he kicked in his own front door. Yeah.
No,
Was that
I had to do it. He told me, break it, just break it. I said, you sure? Break it, fuck it, just break it.
So, but Steve got locked out. Steve had some real issues. And I say the N word, but what I mean is Steve had real life issues of a young man growing up in a ghetto society. Steve had black girls coming to his house, white girls coming to his house, and one day Steve got caught up, just like anybody else. And then two girls cornered him at his house, and next thing you know, Steve running across the street to our house. Brutus right behind him. Brutus like, I'm getting the fuck out of here too. You know, but let me give some shout outs real quick, Rose. So first of all, Schoolboy, it's always a pleasure to see you in the chat, Schoolboy. I've had to pay homage to you because I hold you in the highest regard of you're one of the reasons why I do what I do. I hope to, and when I'm your age, have be as influential as you and to cultivate people to want to be better. Schoolboy, you know what? If I was going to match your dog today, and you wasn't the referee, I wouldn't give a fuck about the match. That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? If Schoolboy, you know, and mind you, Rastaman, any of the people, any of these channels who I follow, you see me on the channels. I don't fake it to make it. You know what I'm saying? I know there's channels that I deal with that don't deal with each other. I don't give a shit. I like Dave Chappelle. If you want to compare me to anybody, Dave Chappelle is a good example. This motherfucker Dave Chappelle said, I drink Coke and Pepsi. But I don't advocate one over the other. Okay? That's the community I'm trying to build. You know, right is right, wrong is wrong. And that's where it's at. Haki Lee, welcome to the chat. The good brother Tony M, welcome to the chat. I appreciate y'all, brothers. So we've been at this thing about 27 minutes now. So I'm actually get to why wait, Kendalls? I didn't shout you out. Brother Mayhem, salute. Anybody else who I missed in the roll call, keep rocking with us. I get with you. Northern Association, shouts out to you, fam. Welcome to the chat. But Pimps Over Simpsons is what I want to get to. Okay, because I want to right some wrongs. I want to correct some things, and I want to answer some questions that I want to answer them in the samurai way, the professional way. So I'm going to take off the real spill hat and go into the professional grown man talk. Mike Dan, welcome to the chat, big bro. Okay, so the elephant in the room is, and Pimps, I'm gonna put myself on the screen for this one because I need to have diarrhea in the mouth real quick. The elephant in the room is that the twins, I announced that the twins were hosting a Digital Dog Show. And something happened, and that didn't go down. And I'm gonna spill that on my channel, what happened from my perspective. So everything was going good until a beef happened on Pelican Bay channel. It had nothing to do with me. I was watching it. Everybody was watching. It was a 7-hour fucking episode. It was entertaining. It didn't have a lot of substance, but it was entertaining. Where him and Dark Society was going back and forth, right? And I don't go around saying people's names unless it affects me. But once you do something that affects me, and I'm telling my story, is my life. I'm gonna tell it in a way where I'm not gonna belittle you or fuck your name up, but everybody can understand where I'm coming from. Because how can you grow from a situation if I can let you go through the same situation, or I can tell you what I did, and you can plan accordingly for that situation. And that's the angle I'm coming at with this. So Dark Society goes in, he calls in to the Twins channel. And at first he going in about Pelican Bay, and I was like, okay, based on the argument they had, I don't think either side is right or wrong. Them brothers had an argument, and they said things to each other that can't be taken back. You know, I was like, cool. You know, I'm not gonna speak on that either ways. That's not my place. That's not my place. I'm in the chat. I'm in the Shark Tank. You know, I'm always in the Shark Tank. As soon as they go live, I'm in there dropping my comments and stuff, you know. And so on a particular night, you know, a good brother of mine was in the chat. He mentioned the Digital Dog Show. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, mention that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't there when this live was happening. So I wasn't actually there in this particular chat. It was brought to my attention after the fact. And so what ended up occurring was Dark Society got on there and he was talking to the twins, and they're mentors of his. Like, he respects them. I respect them. Even to this day, no matter what went down, like, I was in their chat last night. I fucks with the twins. Everybody needs to know that. Okay? But what occurred, I just need to explain y'all what happened to my Digital Dog Show because I gave you false information. Okay, so Dark Society goes on there and he's doing his thing. He's giving his part of the story, you know, and he gets on the subject of PBK, and you know they had their thing. They had their beef. I didn't side with either person. I didn't speak on their beef. And Dark Society says in public, "Fuck them Digital Dog Show ass niggas." And I was like, all right, cool. Maybe he got carried away. Like the first time he said it, maybe he got carried away because PBK announces my Digital Dog Show a lot on his channel. You know, maybe he got carried away and he didn't mean to come at my team. He was just so angry and so pissed off at the situation that he was like, anybody can get it. Then he proceeded to keep saying, fuck the Digital Dog Show ass niggas. I'm like, what did we ever do to you? You know, in the few chats that I did interact with him in, we're from the same area. We both know Dr. Mitchell. So I had an even higher level of respect because we're going to get to this part about the community thing in this video. But for this story, I just want to get some spiel. For this situation, I'm like, okay, after that, when I found out he was from my same area, I go and I like homeboys who I done, you know, did some shit with. They're mutual friends. So it's not on no dog shit. It's on some real shit. Like a brother of mine who I done, you know, did some shit with. They're friends. And I know this ain't on no dog stuff because this nigga don't do dogs. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like he really is from where I'm from. Like he built like that. You know what I'm saying? So the level of respect I had went up until that situation happened. But how this affects the twins is, all right, so he went on there, and mind you, they were supposed to be the hosts, which means they were actually a conglomerate. I'm looking at this as a joint movement. It's going to benefit both channels. And when I saw a couple weeks prior, they kind of like, you know, they told him to kind of lay off Pelican Bay because that's the little homie, you know what I'm saying? And then Pelican Bay went back and fired on the twins. I wouldn't do that. Like that's his movement, and I don't knock him for that, for how he did what he felt he needed to do in his situation. However, like with them being what I call my mentors, you know, a tip, hey, Supreme Excellence, a new member. Hey, I thank you. You just helped me reach a goal, bro. I genuinely appreciate that, and that's why I stopped my spiel to address you. Thank you. But this is where Mr. Mike, and I'm gonna say this because they're my elder, they're my senior, and I respect them to this day. Mr. Mike and Mr. Mo, I got upset with them because I would never disrespect them. I don't give a fuck what argument we have. I would never disrespect my elders publicly like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt that Mike and Mo could have did it, but I'll tell you why it's important. And this is something my older brothers may not understand about social media because, like Schoolboy, I'm going to use an example. Schoolboy, you're here. I love you. Big respect. In their day, there was no social media. There was no social media. So they handle things in person, through letters. You hear the letters read, you hear the magazines, but it took a lot longer to get a message across. And it took a lot longer to mess up the message. But I train military members now, and part of our training is social media engagement because I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, if you got beat up, all you had to do was wait for somebody else to get fucked up. And it was like, it was over with. You know, the people who were there to see it might talk about it, but other than that, like, unless you're the hot topic, it was over. Now on social media, you go viral. You get embarrassed publicly now, and that shit can go viral. So back in the day, if somebody did something to you that could go viral old school, make the 6 o'clock news, you could sue them for defamation of character. Now, I wouldn't do that to my brothers. It's not worth that. Nor is the money. I wouldn't get as much money as it would cost to litigate some stuff like that. Just common sense. But I got to give you why influence is so important, and that's what we're going to get into in this live in the next hour or so. I don't know if y'all remember this, but when Jay-Z said stop wearing jerseys, a lot of people stopped wearing jerseys. When Jay-Z started talking about the death of auto-tunes, a lot of people stopped doing auto-tune. Not everybody, but that's the influence he has through the media. That's what influence can do for somebody. That's why it's important. If you're going to speak somebody's name, you address with deliberate effort toward their name. And this is why I was vexed with the twins. I will never disrespect them brothers. If it wasn't for them, I would not have the growth I have on this channel. And this is the difference between what other people do and what the Shogun Army does. But I will speak on it because I feel that with my platform, I now have the maturity to address this situation in a manner that is concrete. So then I was talking to the brother Ram, and Ram checked me. This is why, like, I love Schoolboy, I love Bach, I love 7-8, but I've seen Ram in chats on channels that have 3 members. Ram came in and said, "You're gonna be upset with somebody if you didn't call them first and tell them you was upset. They supposed to just know you upset. They're supposed to know you feel some kind of way. That's some bitch nigga shit." And he was right. And his delivery was very, very strong, but he was right because right is right. And if you're on this page and right don't prevail with you, then you can exit stage left because right is right. Do you understand that? Right is right. But also, I have to address this. Do you think that just because I was in my feelings, that I wasn't watching the twins videos and liking the videos, I wouldn't do that to somebody? If I dislike you and I watch your video to validate information, I'm still gonna like that video because Schoolboy taught me that. This is why being an OG is so important, and this is why I have to hold even OGs accountable, or at least let them know when they've made a mistake. Because OGs are OGs for what they've experienced. That's what makes them original. But when times change, even they must be educated on how things affect other people. And then what made matters worse was then you got brothers blasting Dark Society on the internet, and I'm scared people will be like, well, and this never happened. And so I appreciate the dog community. But damn, you know, well, fucking he called out Samurai and that happened to him. I swear to God, I had nothing to do with that. I promise you. I refute anything that happens to any of y'all. I don't care if we beefing. I don't put the boys on nobody. Nobody. I don't get paid to do that. My job, my profession, what I get paid over 90% of my job to do is to train people on weapon systems, to maintain weapon systems, and to wire and fuse bombs for explosive combat contingencies. That's my job. I'm an armament troop. My hobby is dog training. My passion is the American Pit Bull Terrier. And none of that has anything to do with putting a jacket on somebody else. Let me get some shots out, man. Mike Dan, yeah, man, I think you and Schoolboy should put that together. Eli Monster, another mentor of mine. Eli, I'm not gonna tell our business because you know I respect. That's what I'm talking about. Like, Eli, no. Eli can text me right now. I just text Eli this morning, but I never tell y'all what we talk about unless he say I can, because that's the OG. And they give brother Eli issues about being racist. We did a video, Pimp Services. I haven't gonna released it yet, and I'm gonna tell y'all some stuff because y'all need to hear it. My next door neighbor, growing up, their dad was a grand wizard. in the KKK. My next door neighbor. KKK marched in Bladensboro, North Carolina in 1995. There's people in this chat from North Carolina that remember that. And they be trying to put that on Eli Monster. I ain't never seen him do none of that stuff. Also, even with racists, it's selective. These are my neighbors, and I used to go to their house and play. At the time, I didn't know this. It came out when the father went to prison. But even racists get exhausted with being racist, and they're like, I can't be mad at everybody. It takes a truly hateful person to do the things that some people do. I don't tolerate that. Not on my channel, not anymore. I've sat quietly for too long on this channel without addressing things that affect y'all, the people who support me. Every one of y'all views helps me get paid. And if y'all two have a dispute, I can't fix it because I'm not sure. You only two grown men can fix the issue between two grown men, but I can't ignore it anymore. Because to remain silent is to quietly condone negative behavior. Hey, Brother Solo, I see your comment, and I love you, my brother. Supreme Excellence. I see your comment and I respect it. But Solo, I still got love for my brother Dark Society. I don't respect what he did, but I still got love for him. Because only love can outdo hate. Hate against hate just breeds more hate. But at some point, somebody has to stop the buck. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'll tell you how I feel and how I felt at the time. What I felt before all this stuff was going on was when I saw him at the Tom Garner thing, I wanted to square up. That's the truth. That's how I felt. My body was seized up with rage about the situation. I'm human. I was angry. I'm still angry about it. But I love my brothers more than I do to propagate hate. And I know that, Brother Solo. And that's, but I just want to address, because that's what I'm talking about. Like, we can speak on things on here, but when we speak on it, we have to speak on it with irrefutable righteousness. Oh man, it's about to get live. The Brother Soul is in the building, y'all. Good Brother Soul. Welcome, my brother.
Peace. Excuse the audio, bro. I'm on the road.
It's all good, Soul. It's all good.
Good.
So I'm gonna give you a disclaimer, just like I gave Rose. It's I'm spilling some stuff today, man, and Brother Soul, you're a mentor of mine, but some stuff, man, I'm young enough to make the mistake. I'm young enough to live through the mistake and grow from it, right? So this is what I say does not represent what my brother believes. It's just my personal perspective on this. So I need to give you that disclaimer that I'm speaking on things that I typically wouldn't speak on.
No doubt.
Okay. Well, since I got you here, and Pimps Over Simps, I've had diarrhea of the mouth. What I want to talk about is community building, y'all. And so what sparked this whole issue I got going on right now is I watch stuff other than dog stuff, y'all. I was watching Matt Hoffa, and he was talking to what's his name? Hey baby, Hurricane Chris.
Yes, sir. Fire interview.
Yeah. And one of the things he was talking about was Chris was saying that a lot of people get money and want to leave their community. That's what I was taught growing up. And Chris said, why would I do that? If I live in an impoverished community and realize there's not opportunity there, and I get enough money to create an opportunity, why would I not do that? What does it do for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Yeah, I tied your name in there, soul. But so I want to talk about accountability in the community. And that's kind of where that spiel came from, was I haven't held myself or my chat accountable. I can't speak for other chats, but I can speak for what we do over here. And if somebody come on my channel and we have a difference of opinion, then we can have a difference of opinion, but I would like to resolve that conversation before it leaves here. Even if it runs the show long, even if I have to get off my own live and let y'all brothers hash it out, because I can't continue to allow us to have open-ended disputes. You can leave a conversation still disagreeing, but open disputes turn into some bullshit. You know, or even if y'all brothers get each other's phone number sometimes on here and call it out, man, like a true community. Like if I'm wrong, and so I'm just using an example, or Pimps Over Simps, I'm using y'all's example. I'm gonna let y'all cook in just a second. If either one of them brothers tell me I'm wrong, because of our respect for each other, a lot of times I'll go quiet and think on it before I fire back. But I notice sometimes us in the chat, sometimes when other brothers get on here, we don't do that. And it's imperative that you hear the message. Because my favorite comedian, Eddie Griffin, says this. He says, you know, the Christians, the messenger is Jesus. The Muslims is Muhammad. To Buddhists is Buddha. You know what I'm saying? To Hindus is Vishnu. It doesn't matter who the messenger is. Did you get the message?
Yeah, makes sense.
So with that being said, Soul and Big A, damn, I miss my brother. With that being said, Soul and Pimps Over Simps, man, y'all brothers go ahead and cook too, fam.
Yeah. Back to Rockets right now. About that dog. You gonna pet that dog? Yeah, I'm just trying to lighten the mood, man. I ain't know all that was going on, but yeah, I agree. You know, as men, we need to be able to speak to each other and have, even if it's end up being a debate, we still need to be able to communicate and problem solve, because that's what separates us from the women and children. We're the leaders, so I agree. But yeah, Rocket was a good dog, man. He he was an excellent dog, and I think it was a guy though, if I recall, that came through the door. It's like a group of the girls and a guy, and I think that's what he was going after. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I remember. It being a guy who I don't think we knew very well. I think he was there with someone, but yeah. But Rocket was a good dog. He was very protective over Junior, and he protected the household. I don't think anybody there felt unsafe around him or uncomfortable. He understood his position and, you know, the pecking order or the pack, and he played his part. You know, he was a good dog, excellent dog.
So I'll interject. So that was two separate situations you're talking about. And so one, Brother Bach, if y'all don't follow Bach on Facebook, you're crazy. Bach be having some philosophical stuff. Bach can mention that if his dog that is typically not ill-tempered doesn't like a person, then he don't like the person. I 100% agree. I first saw this with a skittish Carl Mims dog. I had a black and white Carl Mims dog that I had named Psycho. If Psycho didn't like you, I ain't like you. And Rocket was the same way. Rocket was, if you had a good heart, I cannot make this up. My friend BA could touch Rocket the first day he walked in the house. His wife, who he ended up divorcing a year later for cheating, could not walk in the house when that dog was loose.
Facts. I remember that. Yeah.
My little brother walked in the house the first day he ever seen Rocket and could touch him. His sister could not. Okay? Now, what is important to me is most brothers in the dog community generally accept this to be a thing. This is anecdotal. I don't have statistical or it's not lawful proof. But the dogs can can see things. Now, the other situation that Pimp Service is talking about is I was playing Call of Duty when Rocket lunged at my homeboy. And so my homeboy had said, man, your dog's breath stink. And when he said it, what Pimps wasn't tracking was it upset me. You don't talk about my dog. I broke somebody's nose over my dog. And so when he said that, I got angry. And my body released a pheromone from the chemicals that come from being angry. My temperature heated up, my smell changed, and my dog was able to sense all of that. It was triggered by my emotions. This is why these emotional ass dudes that have dogs end up with situations where their dogs attack the wrong person. Masculinity, calm, assertive leadership. If you've ever watched Cesar Millan talk about it, calm, assertive. No touch, no talk, no eye contact until you've asserted yourself as a leader. So to tie this into, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just totally agreeing, and I was going to emphasize that, one of the practices I do is every time I come home, first thing I do is come onto my yard, or walk in the house and set my bags down. I go straight to my yard and I inspect my dogs, or the chain area, things like that. But I won't give my dogs eye contact, won't touch them, won't say anything, won't anything. You know what I'm saying? So, and that allows them to know, I'm a dominant dog. You know what I'm saying? Let all that hyperness calm down. Once they've calmed down to a liking, then I'll give them, the proper acknowledgement. Give them a little pat or acknowledge them. But generally speaking, I'm cleaning the yard at that point. It might be 10, 15 minutes. And, I kind of treat humans like that. If you're too excited and I don't really know you like that, man, I'm going to brush you off. I want to see your angle because sometimes, all that excitement really be like hater energy. Oh, yeah, what's good, bro? What, damn. Whole time they plotting on you. You know what I'm saying? Catch you, trying to embrace you. I didn't seen that before. Cats acting, man, you think, oh, yeah, what's going on, bro? Man, the whole time they lining you up. You go to reach in the embrace, you even got a sucker MC.
That's facts, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, it's true.
Hey, so can I hit y'all with this? Because there was two things I said I was going to cover: community building and the Bushido Code. And so that just tied, like that not initially trusting people ties into something called, let me see which one it is. So loyalty. Loyalty is the seventh code of Bushido. Loyalty, known as Chugi, is the dominant feature of a samurai, where Chu means to be loyalty. And while Gi defines a duty, Chugi, the duty to be loyal. It is a paramount virtue seen during the feudal period to remain loyal to superiors. Bushido believes that since individuals belong to their state, they should be loyal to them and are always ready to live and die for its legitimate authority. Let me stop right there, because this is one of the parts where Drake got to have diarrhea in the mouth. This is Samurai Kennels. This is the Shogun Army, and I got to give y'all my perspective on this, because if y'all rock with me, y'all kind of need to know where I stand on certain things, right? Now, Soul said, and so please interject at any time if I misspeak your words, because I'm paraphrasing. I'm not direct quote. If somebody come up and they want that treatment, or they acting with too much energy on the beginning, then it could be wrong, or you might need to watch yourself. I agree with that now, and I had to learn. And this is the lesson I want to share with y'all, because I can't talk about dogs like Schoolboy can talk about dogs. You know what I'm saying? What I can talk about is the lessons I've been through, and Schoolboy teaches lessons through dogs. A lot of y'all be missing. A lot of y'all get the surface level stuff, but Schoolboy be hitting y'all with life lessons. So what I want to share with y'all is I grew up and I misinterpreted a lesson I was taught by an older gentleman, my Uncle Nat. He said that you treat the same respect you treat the CEO with, the same respect you treat the janitor with. But what he was talking about was basic human decency. Okay. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, when Pop Smoke got killed, he came out with a song called Shake the Room. And my references are going to be all over the place, but just like remember, go back to that, the Buddha, Jesus, no matter who said it, did you get the message? Pop Smoke said, niggas stay in your way, stay in your place, wait for your turn. Respect ain't given, nigga, it's earned. I gave people who didn't deserve respect. That tarnishes loyalty and that tarnishes who you are as a person, because you're the average of the 5 people you're around the most, whether you want to or not. That's why they tell you to keep your circle sucker free. Okay. Now, how does this affect community building? Loyalty, chugi, and respect have to be in the community. There has been a certain level of, when I see that elderly black lady whose car won't start, am I willing to stop, even if I'm running behind her or if I'm in a rush to do something to help? Is that a community that you live in? Because you have a digital community, you have you have a spiritual community, you have your physical community that you live in. And if you're not an active member of your community and you are positively active or negatively active, then you're a neutral. And guess what? A neutral member of the community, you ever seen a house sit there and become dilapidated because nobody lives there? Just because that house is being maintained doesn't mean it's a benefit to that community. And if that house don't stand for something, it'll fall for anything. The loyalty you have to have is to your children and to what they're going to be exposed to. My next door neighbors, they moved, was some hood, they were hood. And it annoyed the shit out of me. But I allowed their kids to come to my house and eat dinner with my kids so they can learn structure, because they weren't going to learn it at home. Growing up, I was always taught it takes a community to raise a child. I was loyal to that, not to the people, but to that ideology that if I know something that can benefit somebody and I don't share it, then what's the point of me knowing it? That being said, soul and pimps, I'm gonna let y'all spill on whatever y'all want to spill on, but that's the first of the Bushido codes I'm gonna cover today.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, I think it's vital for us to do that with children. I don't really have that mind state with adults anymore. I understand that children are the future. And like you just mentioned, you almost made it your mission, or, we're obligated for those young children to come over to see structure. And all around us, we always have something called models of possibility. So even though we might have been groomed or been injected into negative, negative environments, we always have models of possibility around us. And you being setting the tone and being that example right there is community right there. That's nation building, understanding your obligation to the youth. So salute. That's one of the things that I practice myself. But I believe that children are obligated to the information, not adults. Only adults who have shown that the thirst for the information or the change is in them. And that adage, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I apply that to adults, but children, it's an obligation.
Man,
Facts.
Pimps, you got it. Like I just want to make sure I understood, bro. Overstood.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you get to a point, especially as a man, the more trauma, the more situations you go through, you just realize that most people, when they get to a certain age, they just, that whoever they are, that's who they are. And I feel like that stems from, I know that stems from your upbringing. And that's why, catching the children early on and trying to negate those negative traits is paramount. It's very important, because I know now that the issues that I have stem from my childhood traumas, maybe lack of structure and discipline in certain areas, but that molded me into the person that I am. So, and I will be battling myself to the day I die, because that's my foundation. I don't think people ever really change. I think who you truly are will always be your foundation, and you will battle that because you want to do better. But you have to learn how to do better. If you weren't taught it, you got to learn it. And as men, it ain't like it's a lot of teachers out here, that's just setting good examples. So I applaud everybody and I support all the brothers who are out here trying to, live righteous, be honorable, because it's not popular. It was kind of phasing out when I was coming up, it's just, it's just no street code. It's no code no more, anywhere. And it's a reality that, a lot of people don't want to accept, but I accepted it. So that's why I say now I just focus on the youth. They are our future. And if we want things to change, that's where it has to start. It has to start with us. And because they look to us, we can say what we want, just like all of us are children once. Our parents could tell us one thing, but if we see them doing something else, that's a contradiction, it's confusion. So we got to start to, practice what we preaching, and each one teach one. That's how we change the world, by changing ourselves. And I yield the floor with that.
Hey, so first of all, I want to say welcome to the chat, brother Schoolboy. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. You didn't have to, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate it myself, and thanks for having me on. Welcome to everybody in the chat, and to this great panel you're having today. It's a good topic, good subject.
Salute, Schoolboy.
Salute, Mr. Soul Power. I got to take my glasses off to see. That's funny.
Hey, Schoolboy.
Salute, brother.
Schoolboy, I'm about to fan out real quick because my cousin's he's not a dog person like that. So he doesn't know I'm gonna explain it to him and introduce y'all formally. So Schoolboy, this is my elder cousin. Some of the things we did was, as a kid, I was a nerdy kid, and so he was the fighter. So he would come and he was a bully beatdown kind of guy. And so he doesn't know about the dogs. He just knows about taking care of the people that take care of the dogs. And when I have my next litter, he'll be one of the ones that gets one, But so Pimps Over Simps, this is Schoolboy, Mr. Richard Garcia. He's a legend. Schoolboy, we have a cousin, and when we go to the back chat, I'll tell you what cousin I'm talking about from the Carolinas. But we have a cousin
Nice to meet you.
that dealt directly with Mr. Mims and Mr. Cruz exclusively. And he introduced me to Mr. Mims and Mr. Cruz. Rest in peace, Mr. Mims. But y'all have a lot of the same tenacity. That's one of the things that attracted me to listening to you, Schoolboy. And so Pimps Over Simps, when you talk to him, just think about our cousin that stayed across the street growing up from me, and that's the kind of knowledge he has, just to govern the conversation.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Appreciate it. A lot of what goes on in the dogs, happens in our real life too. There's a lot that we can, once we recognize it, we can relate it to it, whatever you're into, whether it's business or you have a different hobby, different animals, there's things involved that are similar. And that's why a lot of people, when they first come into the dog game, quote unquote, they get it, because once you understand what the dog's about, sometimes you see some of those virtues in yourself.
Yeah. Hey, so with that being said, Schoolboy, Pimps, and so I want to tell a story. If y'all need to interject at any point in this story, please feel free to do so. But I want to share it because, so right now, Schoolboy, when you came in, I'm going to go through all 8 of the Bushido codes. And if you got a story about loyalty, whether it be dogs or people, I want y'all to share it. But this is the one I got. And so this is you can say it's real or fake because it wasn't recorded. I didn't get caught. But I used to hustle in a place called Harmony Homes in where I'm from. It was the projects, and in the project, Schoolboy, I gotta say this. So, Pimps Over Simps, anybody who has social media, please understand why influence is so important. This is before social media took over. So in 08, I was trapping with an AudioVox flip phone in the projects. And I watched this movie with Denzel Washington called American Gangster by Frank Lucas. And so when I watched this movie, I wanted to be that. So whatever I could take from that movie, I took from the movie, not understanding at the time that Frank Lucas was a stitch. But what I did take was Frank Lucas, when he started making money, I sold weed. When Frank Lucas started making money, he always gave back to the community. So in that project, anytime kids had birthdays or this, that, and the third, I never brought drama to the area where I did business. I was a very peaceful person. That's why I never got to hard drugs or selling hard drugs. And what ended up happening was I had a cousin. It's a family member of ours, and Rose, you wasn't there for this. He got out of prison and he ran with a couple of other gangsters from the area. And so he saw me as an easy target, or what he thought was going to be an easy target. And I was out there with my Mims dog. I used to tie her to a post and give her water in the projects. And he walked up and he said, I heard you got it. Yeah, I got it. You know, what's up? And so he was going to try to stiff arm Rob me. And what ended up happening was, out of all those houses in the neighborhood, people kind of heard the commotion. And before you knew it, there was 30 people from the neighborhood because they all ate from what I was doing in the community. And, you know, it was one of those situations like when Debo kind of rolled up on Craig, it was like the whole community's out here. What you going to do now? You know, even the dog, the hair down her back stood up down her back. Everybody was like, this person is of value to the community. And that's where the loyalty comes in. That's why cultivating loyalty in people matters. Even when somebody rolls over and stitches on somebody, that's just the loyalty, or what they feel that they benefit from that person wasn't enough to not tell. And with that being said, I'm gonna just leave that with y'all. But that's my story or my experience where the loyalty of people around me paid off, even if they needed me. I mean, everybody uses or misuses other people, but I want y'all to have that and cook on however y'all see fit to share to grow the people in the chat or grow yourself.
You want me to say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Schoolboy. Take it away.
Yeah, well, that what you just said, that happens a lot with you know, you see it in the mafia, or you see it in if you want to say gangsters or street people, you see it in country people, urban people that live in the urban life, you know, on your block or in your community, or even rural places. You know, how you conduct yourself matters. And in that situation, and I've been in that situation, not urban but rural, is even though you may be doing something that goes against society, it doesn't go against the community that you live in. Now, whether that's right or wrong, and generally, if you live long enough, you can, if you've made mistakes, you can correct them, and you can use them as examples with your children, family members, friends, and make something good come from it. I'll put it that way. You know, I never condone hurting others or being a sociopath or anything like that. But there's circumstances where you have to defend yourself, or you're trying to survive, and that's just the nature of the game at the time. So I'll add that little bit, you know, in the dogs, you know, with all these chats and all this stuff, you're going to have support, you're going to have negativity, You're going to have people attacking you. You're going to have people supporting you. Through all that, you're going to find out who your real friends are. And you have to be able to accept the negativity that's going to come along with it, whether it's jealousy or you slighted someone or they slighted you or whatever it is. So you got to figure out how you're going to deal with it. And I'm what I consider just a regular person. And in the beginning, when I started all this, sometimes I didn't react the way I felt I should when I learned later. And, you know, what I do most of the time is I'm just neutral. People that attack me, I just let it go. Because I learned, you know, if you don't let it go, ignore it more. If you don't, it's going to play on your brain. It's going to play on your heart. It's going to play on your health. But you also have to think, those people that are against you or negative towards you, what do they matter in your life? Are they that important? If it's someone who's a family member or friend that you love, then yeah, it's important. And you can deal with it and you can hash it out. And if it comes out to a positive point after that, everything's good. If it doesn't, well, maybe they weren't real family or real friends in the first place. Because there's a lot of things, and, you know, years later, looking back, they may seem petty. So if they seem petty later on, maybe at the time they were petty. You know, it happens a lot in the dogs. People will lose family members or friendships over a dog. Because that dog is so important, that breeding is so important. And what I learned is fuck that dog. I'll make more. You know, it's a harsh way to look at it. But really, how important is that dog for me to lose a relationship with my son or my friend? When, you know, we can take the hit, and if you're my friend, I'll give you another dog, or you give me another dog. That's my way of looking at it. Because like I said, over time, that stuff, it fucks with you, man. It just, the toughest guys I know and the hardest people I know, all that negativity, it fucks with them later on, if not at the time, you know, and there's regrets. And then you start thinking, was it really that important? If it's that important, then go head on. Deal with it how you deal with it, and keep that relationship or lose it. But, you know, if it ain't worth it, sometimes you just got to cut that loose. Put your pride aside, put your ego aside. You know, you got to do that in marriage or with your children sometimes, your parents, you know. Do you really love your parents? Even though they were mean as shit sometimes? You know, that's a personal decision. My parents were rough, man. But I don't hate them. I don't. They did everything they could for me, you know.
You triggered something, and Pimps and Soul can attest to this too. So my grandfather co-signed on cars and houses for any of his kids that needed them, even when they fucked them over. Right? And nowadays, most parents would cut their child off for that. But had my grandfather done that, myself and the grandkids would have suffered. But
I've done the same.
Stupidity. He loved them through that stupidity.
I've done the same, and my mom has done the same for me and my siblings. And, you know, someone mentioned influence. Well, she had a lot of influence on me. She was rougher than shit, man. My mom was the type to hit you with whatever was handy. And it did not matter. And I did not like it. But I look back on it now, she was just doing the best she could and giving discipline the way she knew how. But she was always there, never faltered. Lost money. So if she wouldn't disown me for the things I did, and I don't hate her for the things she did, then that's my influence. I can't do that with my children either, you know.
Absolutely.
It's just, you know, like I said, I don't, people do what they want, you know. I don't knock nobody. And even in this dog world, I don't criticize people. I don't get on here and bash people. At the same time, I don't give a shit what they say about me. I really don't. But that is a learned thing too, you know. It's not, you can address things And sometimes you have to, and sometimes it's necessary, but it's how you do it that matters. Because like we always say, all this stuff that we're saying here and all these videos we do, they're there forever. They ain't going away. And if it matters to you what people think of you later on, then speak accordingly. If it don't matter, then you're gonna say whatever the hell you want anyways, and it don't matter. You just that type of person. But like I said, I know some hard dudes, a lot harder than me, man. And it affects their health, affects their family life. Because they come to the point, was it really that important to disown my child? Because if you live that way, at some point, somebody's going to disown you too.
Yeah.
And in the business my wife is in, we see that a lot. People are left alone to die by themselves. Don't nobody give a shit about them. And a lot of it has to do with the way they live their life.
Facts.
I agree with that 100%.
Can I throw a grenade out there, y'all? Can I throw a grenade out there?
Go for it.
All right. So this is where loyalty has hurt me, and transgression of the law. One of the 48 laws of power is transgression of loyalty. Is when is enough enough? Even when it comes to family, when is enough enough?
When you feel like it.
Yeah. When you tell yourself that's it, I'm done. Does that mean you have to hate them? No, it just means maybe you're not going to help them anymore. Maybe you're not going to converse with them. The hate is, like you spoke about earlier, that's the part you got to deal with and get rid of. I learned this too. If you're going to help somebody, you have to do it because there's a need and because you don't expect anything back from it. Not even a fucking thank you. If you can do that, then you're not going to feel guilt or, man, I'm stupid. I shouldn't have helped that person, this or that. You do it because you want to, not because you have to or because you expect something back from it. And again, because of that work my wife does, she helped people that spit in her face. Yeah. Old people that are sick and dying. They're hurting. Their life is terrible. They're on their way out and they know it. So they react. But it doesn't deter her from helping them. They need help. That's what she does. So I learned that from her too. And if somebody doesn't appreciate it, I don't care. They don't have to say thank you to me. Because if I didn't want to do it in the first place, I wouldn't have done it.
Schoolboy, I want to say thank you to you and Miss Angie. That's big, man. That's big because
it's tough. I talk like, it just like it ain't shit. No, that's a hard lesson to learn. And it's a hard point to come to. And not everybody can do it. And I ain't no better than anybody else, but it helped me live my life. And what it does is it takes all the pressure off of me. I don't have to worry about shit. You need help, I'll help you. You need this, I'll get it. I don't care. It costs me money, I'll make fucking more money. That's my, I've told you that before. That's my motto. I run out of money, I'll just go make more. We're short, well, I'll do something about it. That's my responsibility to my family and myself. Once you get yourself right, you can help your family. Once you got your family right, you can help your community. And it just extends beyond that. If you're into that, if not, then that's okay too.
So Schoolboy, I heard when you said that, but that was on Game Dog Talk. So that was a closed chat.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Make More Money, that was on Thursday night. So for those of you who don't know, man, like I'm telling you, because Game Dog Talk, it ties in. If you're watching my channel, you're not watching Game Dog Talk, they tie in together. And some of the stuff that I talk about on here, you would have to have seen that episode to understand what I'm even like referencing. Like when I say Box said or Schoolboy said, I forget the Game Dog Talk is on Patreon.
Yep. That's a good point because, a lot of the stuff is interconnected. Yeah. I'll borrow stuff from other people, other dog guys, even guys that don't have the same experience. I may use it as a topic. I may use it as a comment. I may use it on my group, on my page. And I implore people to do the same with my stuff. I don't care if they repeat what I said. I don't even care if they say, I heard this from Schoolboy. The point is the message is getting out. if it's something positive, the masses are hearing it. So I don't need recognition, because in my mind, it's helping others, whether it's through me or someone else, and I ain't no fucking angel, man. I ain't, that's not what I'm trying to come off like. I'm just, this is what I've learned through my life, and I'm 63 years old. I'm still learning. And if I'm going to be involved with this breed and with the people involved in it, then I got to do it in a positive way. I got to help people. I got to be honest and truthful and have some integrity. Or you just a shit talker, like a lot of these people, they get on, not just in dog, but all over the internet, It's all about me and my ego, and I'm a badass, and I'm this and I'm that, and I do this and I do that, and I have money, and it's all fleeting, man. You can't take it with you. Ain't gonna last. But how you treat people, that lasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I look at that like depositing, into that bank. We always look at wealth as monetary, but it's really so deeper than that. How are you being of value in the service to people is it's understated in society. We forget the importance of what cultivating young men and even today young women. So most people just caught up in the rat race, and they forget to really to make sure that they're of service. Like somebody said earlier, speaking about their parents, do as I say, not as I do. But that is such a bogus thing right there. I don't care what you do. In most cases, your children is gonna be the reflection of their household. So if you're not practicing those very things that you declaring as law, your children are going to mirror that. And in a lot of cases, our animals will mirror that. If we fearful and skittish, our dogs will go, show those same traits. And man, it just really get down to being of service, depositing those seeds in the people around us. When you can be helping people, but like Mr. Schoolboy says, if you're not going to do something pure of heart with no expectation, don't do it. Don't do it. That's the worst type of people right there. Doing something and expecting anything back. I've had conversations with my wife about that. Hey, if you're going to help this person, this head person, don't feel no type of way later on down the line when you feel like they've disappointed you. And I yield the floor with that.
You're absolutely right. Those are good points. And if you can't do it that way, then like you said, don't do it, because it's just going to play on your emotions later. It's going to build some kind of hate, or you're going to feel some kind of way. It's best not to do it. Not everybody's built for that. Not everybody has to do that. But once you start influencing others that way, in a positive way, it has a way of catching on, just like, you mentioned your kids. You try and teach them the right way, and, you want your boys to be men and your daughters to be women. So you influence them that way, and that's what they'll end up being. If you don't, then at least have the gumption to take the responsibility for your screw ups, And even sometimes children can learn from that negativity too. They don't want to be like their parents, because they understand that some of the things they did were wrong. But ultimately, that's hard to do, because there's that old saying, you're gonna. I'm not gonna do what my parents did, because I don't want to be like them. And most kids end up being like them anyways, no matter what they say, because it's ingrained in their brain, and they do things, just because that's the way they were taught. Even though it might be wrong, you try and justify it. Well, I had a hard life. Well, guess what? Everybody has a hard life. I don't care who you are. And I'm related to and know people that are very wealthy, and they had some shit happen in their life too. That money couldn't avoid, molestation and abuse, and It happens with the rich, happens with the poor. All this stuff happens. No matter who you are, you're going to have things in your life that are negative, and some of them are real heavy. So one type of person or status or whatever isn't going to avoid it because of that status or in spite of it. You know, once you accept that and recognize it, then you can do something about it. And you don't have to live that kind of life.
Hey, schoolboy.
And like you mentioned with the dogs, you influence dogs. They feed off of your energy. They feed off of your emotions and your body language. And if you're that way, it don't matter how your dog's bred. He could be that way too, negative or positive. That's part of the. I forgot what it's called, but you know, you're influenced by nature and your surroundings and how you're raised and like that. You know, it's something fairly new, but it's recognized by scientists that which can even affect the genetic code of a dog or other animals. You know.
Hey, schoolboy.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted you to be the one to announce this, but or at least I wanted you to give him some shout out. Dickie Foster supports a lot of people, right? And Dickie just became my 9th member today. Shouts out to Dickie Foster, man. Big shouts out to Dickie.
Salute, Dickie.
Dickie who?
Dickie Foster, man. Dickie goes to everybody chat. Dickie's on Game Dog Talk.
Dickie Foster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm messing around, Dickie. He knows that's my boy, man. These good people. This dude support everybody. And he'll message me or he'll like my channel or whatever. And there's just people like that in life and in dogs. He's just a good dude, man. He just, you know, and you know, I have a lot of respect for him. I've never met him. We've chatted some, you know, message like that. But, you know, those are the type of people that I hold in kind of high regard, you know, not better than other people, but just, you know, I never forget people like that. He just good people. So I'm glad he's number 9, man. Respect to you, Dickie.
Dickie is one of those guys, man, where like when I talk about Shogun Code or gameness, if I'm talking about gameness as in a person, Dickie is a long-winded, hard-mouthed, game-ass dog.
That's the way he is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's him. Yeah.
And then Tony M says, so schoolboy, what you was talking about is Tony M said, he said epigenetics. Yeah, like you can't change your DNA code, but you can change how that code responds to the environment. Yeah, that's epigenetics, Tony M.
There you go. That's good. Tony, good people too.
How it mutates.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the question, or that's the argument, or can your genetic code be changed? And in some studies, they're saying, yeah. And in most people will say your genetics, maybe not the code, but your genetics. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a geneticist. It changes with age. So what you are at 20 years old, it could be different than what you are at 60 years old. And this is a little off topic, but when we're talking about breeding dogs, what the dog produces, does it matter what the dog is at the time that he produces? Example, let's say a dog showed gameness, right? In the past, and he produced good dogs. But let's say as an older dog, somebody screwed up, went around, kept beating him down, and he quit. Will his production rate change? Now, most people, you put that out there and they're going to say, nah, it don't matter. It don't matter. In my mind and my experience with seeing dogs like that, it does matter. The quality is not the same. And I've done it with my own dogs. That's what I mean about my own experience. Especially females, because they have a tendency to get quote unquote older first because of the wear and tear on their bodies of breeding, having pups, carrying pups. It breaks them down to a certain extent. So in my experience, their quality of the pups is not the same when they're older as when they were younger.
I totally agree with that. We talked about right there. I think that's more like a genetic mutation right there. stress can cause that. You see, you could even equate that to humans. Being in a high stressful environment, being in war torn, stricken areas, things of the nature, famine, anything like that will have mutation on your genetics, and can also diminish the quality of offspring that come from that. You know, if my wife is stressed out emotionally, I mean, it can cause her to miscarriage. You know, if I'm not in peak physical form, you know, my health is very low and I impregnate a woman, or I would definitely think that my seed would come from my weakest stock at that point because I'm not at my physical peak or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So stress, as the brother said earlier, epigenetics is definitely, in my opinion, you know, there's science that would disagree with it, but I definitely think that it's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah,
Let me hit y'all with this.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Stuff like that, you know.
Let me hit y'all
Nature
with this.
itself does that too. It's just another point. Go ahead.
So, does anybody here know how Kobe beef is made?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if it didn't matter what state mentally and physically something was in, Kobe beef wouldn't be valuable. But there's a taste difference in the Kobe beef. With Kobe beef, they feed the animal and they give it alcohol and things to calm it. So when you kill it, the adrenaline, not even the genes, the adrenaline is not in the bloodstream. And when an animal dies with a high adrenaline level versus a low adrenaline and cortisol level, it tastes different. It literally changes the taste of the meat.
They even massage them to keep them calm and don't put them in an environment that excites them, you know. And part of it, you know, they keep them in a small stall so they don't move around a lot, so they have a high fat content. But their mental state for the Japanese or whoever's making Kobe beef matters a lot, you know, and it does affect the taste. It's like, you know, Holocaust victims, you know, because they were emaciated and because of the poor quality of their food or whatever it was, starvation, you know, they develop certain ailments and diseases, you know. Those are passed on to their children, even though that ailment or disease might not have been present in their family beforehand. It was afterwards.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, absolutely. You start to see
You faded out, brother.
Okay, so what I mean, you went digital.
Yeah,
you went full digital.
Yeah. I went Transformers. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just saying I would assume, let's say two parents are carriers for a negative, let's say a recessive trait. And then you factor in them being in their weakest state, right? Let's talk like the Holocaust and things like that. So them not being in their peak form, I would think the intensity
For example, even with my own dogs, you know, the ones that suffered heavily through parvo or coronavirus, and we had one dog that we got back that starved because of the situation he was in. He was emaciated, you know. Those dogs were never became fully what they could be. It affected them. They were weaker animals. The one that was emaciated, we got him back to health. He looked the same. He had been rolled out before, and he was a good prospect, you know. After that happened to him, he was just left out. The person got incarcerated, and nobody knew about it for 3 or 4 days. So he was out there without food and water for 3 or 4 days, and he looked like a Holocaust victim. We got him back, but we nursed him back to health. He looked fine, but he didn't perform the same, not even close. he never lost his heart, but his ability and his athleticism just wasn't there anymore, you know. And the same with those dogs that got, you know, heavily affected by parvo and coronavirus. They just didn't seem that they were at the full potential that they could have been. Skinny and weak, their teeth broke easier, you know. And so just from a personal experience, I've seen things like that happen. Not with every dog, not the ones that got coronavirus and it didn't hit them too hard, they were okay. But when they got down, you got to IV them and treat the infection, and just their bag of bones, skin and bones. It never left them, you know. They were always weak.
Hey, so another thing is, and Schoolboy, you know this, even Rose, your dad had Rottweilers. If genetics didn't matter, a mama and father dog could have boys and girls, and all the boys be the same, and all the girls be the same, and they would all produce the same. But Schoolboy can take a dog, and I can take a dog, and Schoolboy's dog may have been the worst dog, but produced better because of the things that Schoolboy unlocks in that dog and his genetic code. Because the code is constantly being written.
I agree.
I'll give you another example of how genetic code is written. When you get a scar, or when you get cut, as the body heals, it's regenerating new cells. Additionally, every 7 years, and I found this out when I was in biology in high school, every 7 years, your red blood cells die and you get new cells. Now, if memory is attached to DNA and your blood cells die over the course of 7 years, you pretty much get rid of all the old and put in new, you know, through attrition, then you're not even the same person every 7 years. And if you look at Erik Erikson's theory of stages, 1 to 7 is stage 1, you're a child. 7 to 14 is adolescence. 14 to 21 is adulthood, early adulthood. And I would say my brain didn't work the way it works now until I was 27, 28 years old. And Schoolboy, with your, you know what I'm saying, with your knowledge, you're probably like, well, shit, I didn't know shit till I was fucking 35 or 40, or, you know, like,
yeah,
it changed.
It's true. It's true. And you know, when you think back or as you're going through it, you recognize those things, right? And what science does a lot of time is science just explains what we know. We don't have that understanding. They can put it into words. They can put it into the process. Even though we can recognize it and we went through it and we know what it is, we know the outcome, we don't have that type of education. So it's not like something wasn't there and then it's there. It's always there. We know it, but we can't explain it. And that's where science comes in, helps us explain what we went through or what we're describing or what the end result was or the process along the way.
Fact. It's true.
Hey, Schoolboy, keep going, yo. I got a brother of mine on the phone real quick with me, man. And he, as soon as I said who you was, he don't do the YouTube stuff. But he said, I said Schoolboy, he said Big Red. You know, so
Yeah.
Go ahead and keep cooking real quick. I'm gonna get him on here real quick. I want to introduce him to you. He's a solid brother of mine, bro.
Cool. I just, you know, the breeding was real important to me, you know. So I'm in the process of writing a book, How to Breed the American Pit Bull Terrier. But it's from my point of view, my standards, what I look for, traits, how to get to certain points throughout your breeding program, how to develop a family of dogs, as much as I could think of to do, right? And it would be one thing to say, you know, this is how I did it. These are the results. You got to have facts, receipts, or whatever they're called today, to have proof to back up what you're saying, right? But I didn't invent a lot of what I'm saying. I got it from other people too. Or we agreed on certain things, and then we went through the process and the results were the same. So whether it was pit dogs, whether it was game fowl, whether it was hunting dogs, or horse racing people, pigeon racing, Iditarod, greyhound racing, the top breeders use a lot of the same things that I speak on and that I've done myself that has proven to work. You know, you're going to have a higher percentage, higher outcome. You can improve your dogs. There's a way to go about it. That's why I push back on these people that say it don't matter, genetics don't matter, genetics don't work that way. You know, a cur can produce and co-dog produce and all this stuff. That's true. That's never been. But those are exceptions. And if you base something on an exception, the outcome isn't going to be consistent. And that's what I look for is consistency. How do you get that? If it don't matter, then why the hell breed dogs in the first place? Then it doesn't matter what you breed. You could have a whole yard full of curs and you're going to get a bunch of top dogs. I've never heard anybody say that or even do that. And everybody has made those exceptions or had those exceptions behind their dogs or had to go through it as they're building a family of dogs. But at some point, you negate those exceptions, weed them out, just like you do faults and negative traits or anything you don't want in your dogs. And if you stick to your standards, whatever they are, you're going to see consistency. You're going to see better results, and you're going to see improvement in your dogs because your standards or rules that you have for yourself and your dogs are the guideline. And if you follow them, you're going to get exactly what you want. And when you make breedings, you should already know what you're supposed to get. So you should expect it. If you get it, you're solid. If you don't, discard it and move on. You use something else. For example, if you breed two brothers, one will probably throw better than the other. The one that throws more consistency, better dogs, that's the one you should concentrate on. Even though his brother threw good dogs, he just wasn't as consistent and the quality wasn't as good. Doesn't make the brother a bad dog, but that's not the one you're going to follow. You're going to follow the better one. And better just makes better.
I totally agree, Schoolboy, and I'm giving you an example. Michael Jordan, greatest of all time. Name all three of his sons. LeVar Ball. I didn't even know he was a pro basketball player, and I'm from North Carolina. But name all three of his sons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. And if we were to do that with people, if LeBron had a son that was a top athlete and he had children, there would be more likelihood because he's a top athlete, his father was a top athlete, that he would throw a top athlete more so than his brother, say.
Yeah.
It could not come out that way, but there's a high probability that it would. Once you go generation after generation, you're increasing your odds.
Hey, Schoolboy.
And go ahead.
I want to interrupt you real quick. This is my brother. He's doing a breeding right now. He just sent me the video. He's never met you before, but he has my Hendrix dog that came down from Schoolboy, Mr. Richard Garcia. Bro, you there? He might be in the yard, or your mic is muted, bro. You
he can watch.
Hey, my mic was off.
Yeah, this Schoolboy.
Nice
man.
to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I'm glad you're you're in the room.
So Schoolboy, my little bro, he used to race hounds back in the day too, and so I just rolled him. He knows more about the stuff, man. So he might be asking some questions that would stimulate conversation. That's why I wanted to invite him to the chat. Little bro, this Schoolboy and my brother Pimp Silver Sims, man. Y'all boys just talk, man. Just enjoy it. I'm just here to listen and learn.
Let me. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
How long you been involved with hound dogs?
I can't hear you.
How long have you been involved with hound dogs?
Man, since I was a little kid.
Okay. Do you hunt with them?
Sir?
Do you hunt with them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you breed a dog that wouldn't hunt?
Will I breed a dog that what?
That wouldn't hunt?
Yeah.
If the dog didn't hunt, you would breed that dog?
I would breed. It depends on if the brother's the sibling. I wouldn't breed a male that wouldn't hunt, but I would breed a female that wouldn't hunt. I would.
Okay. Okay. That's common even with dog people. That's why most pit bull people will breed a cold dog, a cold female rather than a cold male. But let me put this out. If you stopped breeding dogs that didn't hunt, your percentages of hunting dogs would improve. No matter how the dog's bred, no matter what the litter mates were, that's how you get improvement within a family of dogs or horses or games, whatever it is. You know, the hunters I knew, if the dog didn't hunt, they wouldn't breed it. That's just
See,
standard.
look, me personally, I got a female that don't hunt, but she produce fire, like straight fire. Everything she done through hunt. So I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's the reason.
Right.
But
No,
it's
I
first
understand that.
blood, but if I get a dog from you and I don't know what it is, and boom boom boom, I'm not finna breed it. If it don't hunt, it gotta go. Like it can go to somebody else, but it can't.
Right.
It can't stay with
Right.
me.
Yeah. And pit bull people have done that too. But what inevitably happened with them was that cold female threw fire, like you're saying. Champions, grand champions. But in the succeeding generations, now you get cold dogs again. And sometimes she would throw cold dogs, but it just seemed to increase after that.
Yeah.
That's what happened with a lot of these breedings with these pit bulls. For example, Pit General's mother, right? Or one of her relatives, whatever it was. Anyway, Danny Burton had the female. He bred her to a male. All the males in the litter were match dogs. All the females were cold. And with other ones, they threw fire, even the females. When they bred those, inevitably they would throw cold dogs too. And I know of one bloodline based on a cold dog, and they throw some of the baddest dogs you ever seen. But throughout the 30 or 40 years of that family of dogs, they consistently throw cold dogs too. So I don't knock people for breeding the way they do. I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying, how do we improve on that? And sometimes we just have to stop it. Like Barney Fife says, nip it in the bud. Even though you get good results, because in succeeding generations, that negative stuff is going to pop up all the time. It just seems to increase. It's like horse racing, thoroughbred. They have to run their mares on the track, their fillies. They have to run them, right? Because they want to see if they're sound. And there's some that don't. And now you have that negative thing in there again. Even though they throw great offspring, that negative comes out. So even within the horse racing community, but that what you're talking about there, like I'll use game fowl as an example, right? They don't fight the hens. You can't, right? They don't use them in competition. So how do they go about that? It's kind of like what you said. They breed to the hen that they're breeding to. Their brothers have to be ace cocks, and their sire has to be an ace cock. Right?
Scuba, I don't know if you can see this, but he's in the woods right now. We lost him, but he got the breeding. He sent me the picture of the breeding he just made just now.
Okay, I can see a little bit.
And his big red stuff, your big red stuff is in there. That's why I got so excited.
Yeah.
So I sent it's a low percentage. It's a very low percentage, but
yeah. Well, it's he was consistent, and his influence can be felt. That's the thing about great studs or great females, and I hold females in higher regard. And that's why I understand people making more of an exception for a female than they do for a male, because a female doesn't get bred that often. doesn't produce the offspring of what a male will, right? And even those exceptions, like I said, they've thrown some great dogs, but I was always looking for improvement. How do I when I advance, what do I do to make things better? You know, I'm not going to negate that a cold bitch or whatever has thrown great dogs, but I know that whatever trait is in there can come out. And if you leave it in there, it has the potential to come out, especially if it's negative, to come out more and more. It just, like I said, bloodline 30 years and you're still getting a high rate of cold dogs. And they've thrown some badass dogs. I won't name them because that's not the point. I'm not here to bash anybody. But that is still in there, was still in there through 30 years of family breeding. You almost come to expect it. And for me, is not having a big yard, everything on my yard had to be quality, had to be good. So I couldn't afford to make exceptions like that, because now I got a space where there's a dog I can't do anything with. I got to feed it and all that, raise it, knowing that the end result it's not going to come out in my favor. So some of the lessons are hard. And like I said, I don't bash nobody. People breed however they want, but I can give examples and facts and experiences from myself and other people of how they did things and what were their results.
Okay, Scuba, I have to ask this question because I have to ask. This is a personal question, and so Candy G Spark, he said the bottom and top should come out the same line, but hold that thought. What's your thoughts on somebody scratching into the same line or hunting against the same line?
You mean like brothers going against brothers?
Yep.
Yeah, I that comes up a lot too. I wouldn't advise it, but my way of thinking is, if I'm a competitor, I don't care what I'm going into. The dogs don't know that they're related. It's not smart to do that sometimes, but if it happened, I wouldn't be kicking myself in the ass. It just, it comes up because Bully's son went into his son and they say, well, you shouldn't do that. And it's not good. And like that, or somebody sells a dog and now they got to go into their neck, into their own blood and all that. Those are things that just happen. You almost can't avoid it unless you just never sell a dog or never let one out of your yard. But that doesn't mean someone else who has a relative of your yard didn't do it. So you might be going into your stuff anyways. So it's kind of it doesn't affect me like it does other people that say, oh, that's stupid. Oh, you should never do that. Well, the dog, like I said, the dogs don't know they're related. They don't even care, and if you can make one good dog, you should be able to make more.
So the reason why I asked you that question, Mr. Garcia, is okay. This happens a lot. This happened to me. This happened to me, and it happened to a guy who I deal with, a close friend of mine. Somebody gets a dog from you, y'all fall out. So now the blood they got from you, they're screaming is better. So it's not just a matter of testing and culling your stock. Now it's a matter of it's almost a grudge match.
Right. So what do you do in a grudge match? You kill them, beat them, eliminate it. That's the train of thought. And that's happened in the past with one of my dogs too. They were relatives, right? So you eliminate the problem. That's about the best outcome you can get. Sometimes you get eliminated, and that's where, speaking like you were, earlier in the chat, some things you just got to accept. You can't let it eat at you. If you're going to say, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Well, that's your whole life. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. Accept it, deal with it, and move on. And don't repeat it, just like the cold dog. There's curves behind my dogs too. I can't do anything about it except not use curved dogs. You can't control everything, and you can't get 100% on anything. You're just looking for improvement. Try to better your stuff, and the only way to do that is, in the past was to get out there and find out.
Yeah.
See who got the better dog.
And
If they were that's about the only, and it may be a chicken shit answer, but I've told people that, then kill it, beat it, make sure it ain't hanging around. You know, I mean, you don't have a lot of options, man.
hey, schoolboy,
You know?
Tony M said you sounded like a Marine when you said that. You kill it, eliminate it.
Yeah. Where my uncle was a Marine. My dad was in the Army, so I get a lot of influence. You know, my work ethic and my you know, just never say die, stick with it, deal with it. You know, that comes from my father. He didn't let shit bother him. You know, he, you know, his upbringing was a lot worse than mine. You know, my parents were good, and his parents were good too, but he didn't have a mother. And basically, they raised themselves. They were dirt poor. When I say dirt poor, I mean dirt floor poor. But it didn't affect him negatively. He took that and made himself better, made his family better. So that's, you know, like you were talking earlier, that's the examples we have. You know, it's like someone who's been molested as a child, terribly. That person's either going to become a sociopath or they're going to help society. It's a personal choice. What are you going to do about it? Like, you know, like we talked earlier, right? What are you going to do about it?
All right. It's true. It's true.
So I want to share this with y'all because I don't think we're going to get to all 8 codes, but I'm fine with that. I don't typically go over an hour and 30 minutes anymore because I think that I'd rather have 15 minutes of good quality content than an hour and 45 minutes of not good. This has all been good to me, though. That's why I'm still here. But I want to read this to y'all, Schoolboy and Pimps Over Simpson. I want to let y'all spill your mind on it because I hope both y'all really have regard, and I take counsel from both of you guys. So the first code of Bushido is justice, also known as rectitude. A popular Bushi once described rectitude, G-I, as the strength of acting with reason. A rectitude is a power to decide what to do in certain situations. Like he says, die if it is right to die, and to strike if it is right to strike. After feudalism weakened the peace that prevailed, warriors moved toward gentleman arts. Even then, a man of rectitude was more prestigious than any other who had learned any skill. For a samurai, justice is a skill you must have. Now, I want to share this story, and I'm going to share the story, then I'm going to go outside and use the bathroom real quick, so I want y'all to cook. I tell the story, and if y'all ever seen my season 1, I tell the story of Shadow. Shadow was a dog that was owned by some of my cousins, and they ran dogs. So Shadow pissed and shit on himself in a road and ran into the woods, a curb. However, I knew that my cousins favored this dog named 8-Ball off the same litter. So they scratched into the same blood. And they had a favorite. 8-Ball got the better food. 8-Ball got the more interaction. 8-Ball knew he was loved. Shadow just knew he was there to be rolled with 8-Ball his whole life. They threw him out of the trash dump. Now, at the time, I'm giving y'all information I knew after the fact. So I see this dog in the trash dump, and where I'm from, it's common to see a bait dog. It's common to see a dog that was used. You know, he would roll, but he quit. So he was a bait dog. You know, they used him and threw him out. I took this dog home, fed him, took care of him, loved him, and they were driving by and saw me walking one day. You walking and feeding that cur, a dog that they had saw cur out, and I'm talking about in a very, very cur fashion. Peed and shit on himself and then ran into the woods while being bit. Okay, I took the same dog back 3 months later and rolled him into 8-Ball. Just a roll. They was talking shit. They pissed me off. I jumped off the school bus, got my dog on a Friday afternoon, and hauled ass over there to go roll these dogs. I can't confirm it or not. I never got caught. You can't tell me if it's true or not, but it's a good story, so I'll tell it anyways. Get there, we rolled for 30 minutes. The first time the Shadow scratched, he had to scratch first because he was considered the cur. Shadow scratched in 8-Ball's chest. He grabbed him in the brisket, lifted 8-Ball off the ground, and shook him in the air like he was a damn rag. Okay? I had a little girlfriend at the time. She a little ratchet-ass girlfriend. She wanted to come in the woods and see what was happening. She got excited. This I knew Shadow was doing good. She got excited. She said, I never seen him act like that before. You know, this dog that was licking her hand and she feeding him and helping me nurse him back to health. Actually, one of his ears had gotten ripped off in the first roll. So when I brought him to my house, I cut off the other ear with a razor blade because I didn't know about paying for no vet to cut no ears off. So I took a razor blade to cut the other ear off to make him even. Battle crop. Took him in the woods. He went into the brisket of 8-Ball. 2 days later, 8-Ball died. Now, they said 8-Ball got poisoned. But any true dog man knows what ended up happening was the aftercare wasn't good and 8-Ball died. But I say to me, when I speak about justice, that was justice for Shadow.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave that right there. Y'all gotta go use the bathroom real quick. I gotta run to my house. Y'all two go ahead and cook, but I will be right back.
Yeah, that's a display of the psyche of the animal, especially mammals, you know, living creatures. They can be influenced. They could change their mind. There's tons of stories of dogs that happen to that quit and either in the same hands or someone else's hands didn't. And a lot of it has to do with the care, you know. It's like Samurai was saying, he treated the dog good. Maybe it was the first time in his life he had ever been treated properly, was shown love and care and good food. That apparently had an influence on him. That can happen because, you know, at the same time a living creature is delicate, they also can have fortitude. And that's where the psyche comes in. That's where the mind comes in. We can't read their mind in a lot of cases, but we can see the end result of how they're treated. On the reverse of that, you can take a very good dog, treat them badly, and they're going to quit too, where previously they hadn't. So, you know, preventative maintenance is a big deal with me, you know. Don't put the dogs in certain situations if they ain't ready for it. Treat them right, feed them right, have them healthy and strong, have their mind right, and your end result will be better. Doesn't mean they're going to be game and you can't make them game, but if it's in there, it'll come out. And if it's in there and you screw it up, it's going to be lost. And that's where I talk about, you know, the individual genetics at the time. What is the dog feeling at the time? What's going through his mind? Physically, how does he feel? His health, all that. It should matter. So the point is, you know, you're going to make mistakes. Stop making them at some point. Learn from them. Treat them a certain way and you'll get the best results you can out of them. And if you don't treat them properly, raise them properly, feed them properly, don't expect anything good. And there's been some dogs that have been mistreated and it doesn't change a thing about them as far as their heart. That's just, you know, that's an exception also. But a lot of the times, you know, with dogs, what happens with them is our fault. It's not the dog's fault. They either born game or they ain't. But you ain't going to see it if they're mistreated. You ain't going to see it, what is potentially there and what is there, if they're not treated right. That you couldn't expect that of anything, because everything that we talk about is, you know, they're flesh and blood. And they have a mind and they have a brain, and we don't understand everything about it, but we can see the end results of how we treat them, how they're raised, their behavior. So that's about all I have to say about that. Someone else jump in there. I hate taking the limelight, man.
Now, I'm back, man. And Mo said it last night, Schoolboy. When you talk, man, the room is gonna get quiet. But it's because it's not a inferiority complex that we have. But all the men that I'm trying to develop on my channel are my age. And the only reason why people deal with me is because they have some kind of common kin to me. And what it is we all respect our elders, specifically when they speak wisdom all the time. My grandmother got on my damn nerves. I love, rest in peace. My grandma never said nothing I wanted to hear. Never. Never. Like, you know, her favorite words was, I think you ought not to do that. You know, I think you ought not to do that. And what that means is, for those who don't speak country ass shit, is I don't think you should do that.
Yeah.
And she would say that, and I'm like, why she always gotta say something? She always saying something. But you know what?
She knows you.
Yeah.
He knows what you're about to do. You know. Yeah. Sometimes the hardest thing is, you know, when we hear stuff, we don't like it. We don't like being treated that way, but we still have to acknowledge, man, they was right most of the time. You know, if you just cruel, you just cruel, and you're not gonna teach nobody nothing. You know, but if you hard, that's different, because elders understand, sometimes younger people don't, that life is hard. Ain't nothing easy about it. But rather than make it all that negative and, oh shit, this bothers me and that bothers me and life is shit, this and that, you can turn that around and say, okay, I acknowledge that. I accept it. That's part of it. Now I'm going to live my life this way. I don't have to live it negatively. I don't have to influence people the wrong way, you know, because, you know, I'm taking it out on this youngster because of how I was treated by some adult. That's the choice we can make.
Hey, so, bro, Eli Monster just said some of the realest shit. And Schoolboy, you can vet for this too. And Pimp Sober says you can vet for this too. Eli said, I bet she could cook, Samurai. Those grandmas could cook their ass. When I tell you, I ain't tasted the only cornbread I eat now is Shiffy cornbread. But I would eat my grandma's cornbread. I would eat anything green that she could. I don't like vegetables. I was that kid. Don't put green shit on my plate, and don't let the beans touch my hot dog. I'm not eating that shit either. But my grandma cooked it, I would eat that, all of it. That's fair.
Mine was the same way. I learned to cook from her, and I don't really like mole, you know, chicken mole and all that, but I would eat my grandmother's mole because it was good. It's just one of those Mexican dishes that I don't really like, but hers, I would eat it. Everything she made was good. And my grandma was nice. She wasn't that way. My mom was the rough one, you know. My dad was the stern one, you know. But you know, it's, if you have grandchildren or you get to the point where you have grandchildren, most of the time you have a tendency to be easier on them than you were your own children. And a lot of that has to do, I did my job, now it's up to you. I don't have to be rough on my grandkids, you know, like I was with my kids. And part of that is a learning process. You know, you have your first child, you have a tendency to treat them different than you do the ones after that, because you didn't know shit. You don't know how to do it. You don't know what you're doing. Some stuff is instinctive. Some stuff you're going to make mistakes. So the older child is going to be affected more than the later ones. But the older child has more influence of the good stuff too, because at that time, whether it's a year or 2 years or 5 years between children, all your attention is on them. So you don't have to spread your attention among siblings. You just have the one kid for however long it is. So, you know, even in that, there's pros and cons and good and bad and all that. And, you know, I understood exactly what your grandma was saying. You know, she knows you guys, she knows children in general. And that's her way of trying to influence you to do good. You know, it's kind of like I mentioned this before, you know, she may have been rough on you and tough, and you were mad at her sometimes. You didn't even like her sometimes. And she may have never said a lot of good things about you or to you in your presence. But if you become successful, you're the one she's going to be talking about. Oh, my grandson, he's successful. He did this and that. He's in the military. He's a sergeant. He this and that. You may not ever hear it, but other people are going to hear it, you know? And sometimes that's all we can ask for, you know? It's like my family, they don't walk around, you know, schoolboy this and that, and, you know, and you're great and all that shit. But when somebody asks them about me, someone else, you know, they talk me up, you know. oh yeah, my dad does this and he that, blah blah blah. You know, that's just part of life. Sometimes that's how it goes. You know.
You know what, Schoolboy? You're right. And I'm gonna tell you how. Like, so I didn't notice about her when I went to my grandma. She came up in the civil rights era. There was a black school and a white school in Clarkton, North Carolina, and so I didn't know. I knew none of this stuff after she died. My grandmother played basketball. I'm a state champion in basketball, and her number was 22.
Wow.
That was also her favorite caliber of rifle.
Right.
She thought one of her sisters was trying to court my grandfather when they were in the courting phase and shot through a glass door at her sister over my grandfather.
Yeah.
So without even knowing this about my grandmother, at the age of 11, I started playing Pop Warner basketball, you know, like at the local recreation facility. And the coach just threw out numbers because none of us were fucking good. We were all terrible. We were little kids. And the number that came to me too, I wore that number from recreation basketball all the way through junior college.
Wow.
So when I would play with that number, and every year, you get your little picture with the basketball, your chest all up, and my grandma would post those pictures in the living room. I never knew that was her number. And like you said, she never told me that shit ever.
Yeah.
During when we were getting pictures for her obituary, when I found out she played basketball, and it was really good.
Yeah.
That's
how it is, Without you realizing that she was with you all them years, man. And she didn't even tell you, That's how it plays out sometimes,
Now I did get a chance to talk. It's funny you bring that up. I did get a chance to talk to her when I was living there, and she did inform me that she didn't. I don't think she told me her number, but she did tell me, that she played basketball, and I think at that time, I don't know if it was dementia or Alzheimer's kind of setting in, but it's like current stuff she couldn't remember. But if it was something like from the past, she could, just go in on it. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take this opportunity to, get to know her better. You know what I mean? So I would add questions that I couldn't ask my grandfather or other family members, elderly family members. I just would ask her. And the more she talked, the more I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I knew none of this shit. Like, you're not a regular grandma. I don't even look at you the fucking same no more. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? And and I encourage everybody listening, anybody who watches this once it airs, once he posts it, go to your older relatives in your family and sit down, shut the hell up, and let them talk. I promise you, they're gonna tell you some stuff. When they see that you're really interested, they're gonna expose some stuff about themselves that you would have no clue. You might even think they lying, but it's the truth, because it's gonna change your perspective of them, and not in a bad way, but you'll be able to relate to them more and be able to understand them more. Shogun, I think we spoke about this before, but I have more respect and a better understanding of my father because of me living with his parents, or in his parents' house, and being around that side of the family, actually living there. I get it now. I understand why he's the way he is. His good qualities and the bad ones. I get it. You know what I mean? And I don't things that before I may have faulted him or I ain't gonna be like that. I don't like why he do this, why he do that. He get on my nerves. He hate me. He don't love me. But what it was is that's how he was raised, and that's what he knew. That was his foundation. Now going forward, it was like Schoolboy said, like there's things that you learn as a man moving forward. Trial and errors in life, and you just keep doing the same shit. And you realizing, this don't work. I got to try something new. I got to try something different. And then you overcome that fear of failure, and you actually attempt to do it. And then when you're successful, it's like, oh shit. And then you start to make the changes that you need to make and adjustments. And if you have children, naturally they're gonna see and pick up those changes. And like I just want to speak because like grandma was it explains a lot. Like a lot of traits that I have or things that I've done or abilities that we have. All of us are good at sports. All of us can draw. All these we thinking, oh yeah, granddaddy this. No, a lot of that stuff came from grandma. The art side and even the sports. We thought, because You know, he was Golden Gloves in the Army. We thought, oh yeah, you know, we get our sports. No, grandma was the baller. She was the one out here putting up threes. You know what I'm saying? It was grandma. So I encourage everybody, if you still have, you know, your grandparents, your great uncles, great aunts, even your parents, you know what I mean? The oldest remaining relatives in your family, talk to them. Talk to them and soak up that information and that knowledge, because that's, I feel like, something we've gotten away from, really all nations of people, is those traditions and those stories. We don't pass that shit down, and it's like a connection that's being lost, because I feel like a lot of children nowadays don't respect their elders because they don't see themselves in their elders. You just some old person just running their mouth. No, all the shit that you're going through and that you're gonna go through, they've already been through it. And it's a lot of it's a lot of things that you wouldn't have to go through if you had that guidance or if you had that wisdom, you know what I mean? In those situations. So I encourage everybody, man, go talk to your elders, man. Respect your elders, love them, and give them their flowers while they're here. Because we don't, tomorrow ain't promised. So right now, call as soon as you get off the line. You know what I'm saying? Go call your barber, go call your grandma, go call your grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Tell him you love him, and you know, just try to, if you don't have that relationship, try to build it. You know, because it's important, and not just for you, but for your children if you have them.
Amen to that.
Well said,
Hey,
man.
y'all.
Great comment. Great comments, man. I can't even add to it. You were spot on.
Schoolboy, Pimps Over Simps. I'm gonna shut this one down. But obviously, at the end of our shows, we always give brothers a way to reach us. So I'm gonna turn it over to y'all two. Schoolboy, you lead it all. Pimps Over Simps, you take it, and I'll take I'll do my little final closing, and then we'll hit the back chat. If you are a member and you want to jump in the back chat, I'm gonna put the link one last time. But however, if you're not a member, this is one of those things where I'm trying to encourage y'all to become members, because I do this not just for the love of it. I'm a capitalist, but I'm gonna turn it over to Schoolboy and the Pimps Over Simps, because we all have learned to use our stories as a means to an end. It's a beautiful story, and the lessons were hard earned through time, effort, and failure. So with that being said, Schoolboy, please let them know where they can reach you at and where they can find you.
You can reach me on Facebook, Richard Garcia. My email is richardjschoolboy60@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram. I have merch. I have registry. I got my YouTube channel. Subscribe, press like, all that stuff. You know, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on, brother.
All love, Schoolboy, man. Hey, I gotta say, Ram said it last night on the Twin Show. You don't understand, Schoolboy. All right, there's two things I've done in life. I've dealt with pit bulls since I was probably 2 when I earliest I can remember. My grandfather had a dog named Buster. He was a pit bull. My grandfather had pit bulls, bull mastiffs, walkers, and beagles. He kept a hog hunting batch. And so y'all names I heard about in magazines back then. You know, and then as I got older, I would see y'all, you know, you had a YouTube, an older YouTube, you know, you were running, I think you were running maybe a North Face, like
right.
a black fleece or something.
Right.
I've been following you for more than some of my I got followers now that are younger than the time I spent following you. So when you come on my channel, man, I know you practice humility, but you gotta understand, man, I be fanning out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's like me meeting Michael Jordan, and actually my favorite basketball player was Scottie Pippen and Clyde Drexler. It was never Michael Jordan. You know, so if I met one of those guys, that's the equivalent of what this is like for me. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. And you know, I wouldn't take advantage of that. You know, a lot of people do. You know, I've been with famous dog guys. We're judging shows or we're at an event or whatever. You know, and they're like, you know, we can't talk to the peons. They got to come to us. We're royalty. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. We all put our pants on the same way. I'm going to go out into the masses, per se, and I'm going to converse with these people, man. You know, they want to know stuff. I'm going to tell it to them. I may learn something from them. I don't care if they're 10 years old. I'm going to shake their hand. So humility, again, I was raised that way. But you got to have constitution too.
Yes.
You got to be
Right.
you got to be tough, and tough don't mean you kick people's asses. That anybody can do that, depending on the situation. But you got to have mental fortitude, which is why I say a lot of times, you know, I've been all over the world, not all over the world, but in different parts of the world, and I ain't scared. I'm never scared. I'm never looking over my shoulder. I've been in some bad spots, areas, but you know, I just it because of the way I am. I don't project that. So I don't expect it to come at me. Anything can happen, but you know, I couldn't live my life that way, being scared because I'm in the area of the cartel, or I'm in the ghetto, or I'm, you know, in Oakland, or I'm in Compton, or I'm in the South, you know, or Carolinas, or Florida, whatever, you know. I just ain't that way. I do my thing, and I'm here to help.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. It was a pleasure meeting you. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
I
Same
learned
here.
a lot.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned a lot. Learned a lot.
Hey, but so I want everybody else to learn a lot. Pimps over Simps, I'm gonna go ahead and lead you into it because I know this live thing ain't really your forte yet, but it's gonna become one. Pimps over Simps has a clothing line, y'all. We're gonna start showing his clothing, and I'll start wearing it on my lives to show y'all. It's urban wear. The Can I Live? It was, you know, it's a canna like cannabis, and live like can I live?
Nice.
Very very urban, very essential to what's going on right now. That being said, I'm gonna turn over to my cousin. Please go ahead and discuss your stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me at Canada Collections on TikTok and Instagram. Also at a webpage, CanadaLiveCollections.llc. You can, you know, buy products and merch. I have a new collection coming out, fall winter collection. That'll be dropping soon, most likely. I'm planning on October, the end of the month, Halloween, but we'll see. That's still in the work. I also have another collab collection I'm doing with the rapper by the name of K.O. Kane. Good guy, you know, he working, he doing his thing, a family man. And yeah, you know, support me, I'm gonna support you, and let's just keep networking and building.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Hey, y'all already know if you're here because you already heard of Samurai Kennel. We are here, one, to make better people. But through making better people, you're going to make better dogs. People who clean up their dog shit and don't let them sit in 3 and 4 day old stuff like that. We practice clean chain setups, clean kennels, clean whatever you do, wherever you keep your dogs at, keep it clean, man. Keep your life clean and free of debris. When you see it forming, the best way to clean up is when it's fresh. Even if they have a runny stool, this is metaphorically speaking. Even if your dog has runny stool, the easiest time to clean up runny stool is immediately after it occurs. That being said, y'all be blessed. Y'all stay faithful. Keep them blades sharp and keep your defense up. Until next time, members, tomorrow I'll be putting out a link. I'm going to do a video tonight to give y'all the link. Schoolboy, you're welcome to come to the link with or without a membership. Pimps over Simps. Tomorrow what we want to do is, and I'll tell y'all this, what we want to discuss tomorrow is how to enhance and make our show better. And the reason why it's a members only thing is the members have shown a higher level of intensity and their intent on this channel being a surviving channel. So I want the members' opinions first and foremost. It's nothing against you. If you can't afford to be a member, let me know. I'll buy you a month membership subscription just so you can get in the chat. And then you speak your piece. But what I want y'all to realize is that the members, the people who are like aggregating and coming in and saying, like, you know what? we don't just support this, we'll show you the support. That's who I want to develop this channel to help get them the answers they want. And if that means making sure that I can get Schoolboy more, or or get Bach or Ram or 7-8 or anybody on here that comes from, these brothers do this out of their own love, but I appreciate them and I want them to see the fruits of their labor while they're still here. I love y'all. Much respect to everybody in the chat, and scratch hard until next week. Until next time we speak, salute.
Peace.